Hello, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for my book launch of my brand new collection, Delta Function, from Alien Buddha Press. And I would like to give a special thanks to Red over at Alien Buddha Press for this opportunity. I'm so pleased at how quickly this collection came together and is getting out in the world. And I do hope you enjoy this reading today. Delta function is a mathematic term which I kind of describe was the inspiration for this collection. And I wrote a preface to the book, which is something new for me. I don't normally do, but I'd like to read the preface and then I'll follow that with a reading of selected poems from the book. So this is the preface to Delta Function. Ascend. From a distance, the hawk is indistinguishable from an eagle, and yet both soar. Mathematicians define delta function as a distribution rather than a function. In layman's terms, this concept deals with the purpose of zero in its different mathematic roles. The role of zero and what it represents philosophically became the premise for the title poem of this collection, which uses poetry to analyze our roles as individuals and members of the human family. Delta function asks the reader whether we, by occupying a crucial space as something unique and wholly special, can also humbly embrace the nothingness of our relatively small roles in the grand scheme of eternity. And in doing so, can see ourselves as beings whose central function is defined by our commonalities rather than our differences. During this era of global unrest and political divisiveness, the need to cultivate a culture of mutual respect is as important as ever, and yet it's no easy task to build inroads with those with whom we vehemently disagree. Early 20th century author G.K. Chesterton once wrote, "It is constantly assumed that when the lion lies down with the lamb becomes lamb-like. But that is brutal annexation and imperialism on the part of the lamb. That is simply the lamb absorbing the lion, instead of the lion eating the lamb. The real problem is, can the lion lie down with the lamb and still retain his royal ferocity? Can we retain our individuality whilst allowing others, no matter how different from us, to do the same? Only distance and time will reveal whether we can ascend above the discord of the present era to a place of civility created by the mutual need for peace." Delta Function opens the collection with an epigraph by Andrew Zimmerman Jones, who is a current mathematician. "Dirac delta function has a value of 0 everywhere except at the input value of 0. 0 is nothing, except when it's something. A placekeeper, sure, we learn that much early. So it is presence as much as absence. We take in the lacking that 0 was, letting nothingness reflect in our many mirrors. 0 is undoubtedly present in every glassy reverberation. Pushing each one over, they shatter. Finally, 0 is behind us, so that it can be ahead of us, offering all that is." The next poem I'd like to read for you is What Everyone Wants. The fortune teller wishes you knew its words before it says them. You live in a house of truth and mirth with hunger as your primary motivation. Put a quarter in to hear more. Even a bottomless soup pot will not satisfy your insatiable appetite. It's your lucky day, 2 fortunes for the price of 1. Here is your free fortune. You don't want a fortune. You want to be free of the want for a fortune. With Delta Function, I am posting a study guide on my website. That's www.samanthaterrell.com. And there will be a downloadable PDF study guide for anyone who wants to use it for personal introspection, or if even you had a book club that you wanted to use the questions for. I think that'd be more than appropriate. And like I say, that will be on my website, so feel free to download that if you'd like to. With this next poem, I will read its acceptance letters, and it kind of ties into some of the topics that the study guide will cover as well. This is acceptance letters. Making the best of a bad situation doesn't mean it's good. But sometimes the best we can do is accept the circumstances, tolerate the offenses, turn the other cheek, attempt joy amidst the pain, practice delayed gratification. You know all the sayings. Sometimes they even work. Until delayed gratification results in further delays and both cheeks are raw, like that time I picked you up from school. Before time had revealed your parents' abuse, your face flushed red with the fresh burn of a slap. A smack of awakening, and self-censorship or mental editing are rendered ineffective. Reality pushes its way in, filling every room with emptiness and of absence and too much hurt to hold. Splinters of it tumble out with embers from your wood-burning stove. A memory of the scent fills the sinus cavity of my brain. Excuse me. An earthy smell mingled with filth and heat that's only preferable to the cold ache of lack. The way cafeteria hot dogs for the third day in 1 week only satisfied an impoverished hunger. The way threats of mistreatment were preferable to no treatment at all. Eventually, the best we could do was our worst. There was no joy amidst pain, no tolerance for others or oneself. Now, we write acceptance letters to our past selves, then tear them up again. The time I said that thing, the year I fell for that trick, the time I spent recovering. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive me. Maybe this time it will stick. The next poem I'd like to read is Teetering on Extinction. It also opens with an epigraph by Steve Brusat, who's a current anthropologist. And he says, there have been 5 particularly severe mass extinctions over the past 500 million years. From one mass extinction, every 100 million years, what have we learned? That every species has its unique vulnerabilities, but vulnerabilities nonetheless. So dinosaurs and humans may have more in common than we thought. But if we're due for an extinction event, this may be the first a species brings upon itself. When we last spoke, electric energy came over me the way the Irish say sadness comes on, ta Brannorm, slipping oppressively upon the shoulders of its victim, or something like that. But this wasn't sadness. This was something the Irish or the Welsh or the Inuits might have a name for, but we unsophisticated English speakers of the world don't. It's somewhere between nervous and elated. It's something like both fear and excitement mixed with the Holy Spirit and the devil himself. It's the acknowledgement that right now you like me. But if you get to know me too well, and by the way, you're on the brink of it, you won't. When you cease to like me and my kind, I'll know. I'll see the camera flash of disappointment in your irises the very moment you figure it out. That we're so alike, up to a point anyway, but unequivocally no further. How dare I break your budding trust with my egoistic autonomy, my silly selfhood that descends so easily from yours? You'll wish you could wash off the parts of me that disagree with you, snuff them out, and right then the sentiment of mass extinction begins. Ta Brannorm. So a part of this collection is a word of warning, a word of caution maybe. A lot of my poetry deals with self-awareness as a means to social awareness, I like to say. And I do believe in this day and age that we have some societal issues, some cultural issues that we have to overcome, and maybe that's true of every era. They seem to be particularly pronounced in this day and age. And just like I express worry or a word of caution in some of these poems, I'd also like to think that I offer a word of hope and a word of encouragement in others. So we'll flip the switch here with For Humanity's Sake. Did you lose someone or gain a terminal diagnosis? Perhaps you're mentally unwell. Does it matter? Yesterday, we passed each other in one of those interminably long hospital corridors. It was just you and me. I could hear your muted sobs. I should have paused to offer an embrace. Instead, I rushed right by you in my haste. Today, I recognize my negligence, my failure to offer kindness to a stranger. I could make excuses. I was running late. My judgment was cloudy. I hadn't eaten all day. Does it matter? If there is a next time, I will ease back the obstinate window pane that hangs between us and pull you close. I have a couple more poems I'd like to read. This next one is called Creating Familiarity, also kind of a word of encouragement, I think. And it is written in what I've called a contrapuntal trinitas, so it can be read three ways, and I'll read it all three ways for you. It's rather short, so this is Creating Familiarity. The palm is an intimate body part. To know, gently drag an index finger across the palm of your opposite hand, then breathe. Consider its tenderness and capacity. I once wanted tattoos, one for each hand. They would say, give and give. To remember to give and give. Or the second way is, gently drag an index finger across the palm of your opposite hand, then breathe and give. And finally, the third way, the palm is an intimate body part. To know, consider its tenderness and capacity. I once wanted tattoos, one for each hand. They would say, give and give. To remember to give. The final poem I'll read for you is the final poem in the collection, and it is called Levity. Again, just kind of ending on maybe a more positive note as we consider some of these serious, controversial issues that plague our society and what we can contribute as individuals in our roles in the human family. I do hope you've enjoyed this reading, and you can certainly check out my website, samanthaterrell.com, for more information or to order your copy of a book. Thank you so much. This is Levity. When I was a poet, I watched the world and turned everyday moments into momentous ones with rhyme and metaphor. I wondered about life, about you and your existence out there amongst humanity, about the gravity of joy and strife. Now that I'm a person, too, with feet in this world and lungs that breathe in real oxygen and laughter that blows its way through nose and mouth unexpectedly, I could pet a cat for hours, stroke its fur, and think of nothing more than the aggregate ethereal fibers comprising its velvety coat, the sensation of utter softness under my skin. Perhaps I'm still a poet after all, but the laughter, oh, the laughter. Thank you so much.